a privilege, an honor, and a pleasure to have with us Vivek Agnihotri, Bollywood director, screenplay writer, and producer. Best known for his recent political drama, Buddha in a Traffic Jam. He'll share his views today on cinema as a change agent. So the role of cinema in bringing change. Buddha in a Traffic Jam, some of us have already seen the movie. It's a critically acclaimed film. Received a lot of international applause in the form of nominations and awards. It was in international film festivals like the Madrid Film Festival, the Global International Film Festival. In a very unique style of promoting the film, Vivek was invited across the country in different campuses like the JNU, like IITs, IIMs, to screen the movie and received huge applause from the students there. Recently, the film has also been invited to London School of Economics and Cambridge University. So today, I invite Vivek to share his views on cinema as a change agent. Please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Hello everybody, good evening. I'm really delighted, first of all, because it's always a pleasure to meet people from all across the country, and I'm told there are people from all over the country, from Kerala, Israel, some British passport holders also. On Brexit, I remembered the only Brexit I knew before this was in 1947. And it was brought about by some very young people. In fact, when they started their struggle, they were very young, really young, very impressionable age, when you have real time to cultivate yourself, to build yourself. At that time, they surrendered themselves. And they became change agents, what we were discussing, and brought about such a huge, such a big change. It's not only about freedom. It's not just freedom. They gave us a philosophy. They gave us a direction. They gave us an absolutely new modus operandi to make people believe in what we believe in. Non-violence. Before that, this world, you'll realize if you look at the history, the other day I saw a very interesting video, 2D video on YouTube, history of the world. So starting from Ice Age. It moves very fast, quickly, it moves, and it moves, you must have seen things like that. It moves from country to country, what happened, and it describes. And you realize this world has spent more than, I'm just hypothetical, more than 90% of its time just fighting each other. The entire world thought in a certain direction. You enter somebody's country, invade them because they are weaker, you have military, you loot them, you change their culture, you change their language, you introduce elements which are so alien to a country, and then that country, that society, that community goes in a perpetual chaos, a chaotic mode. Because within a society, you have created a new set of aspirations which are so different, so polarized from your own native culture, native civilization. Therefore, Indian society has always been in conflict. No other country of such a size, of such age, of such diversity ever remains in this kind of conflict. And therefore it becomes very important, like those young men and women who struggle to get us freedom and introduce non-violence, the discovery of truth, the discovery of self. If you see, the world has gone through a huge cycle, and today everybody is coming back to that, everybody is trying to look inwards. Why I'm talking about this is because it's connected with cinema ultimately. I'll tell you how. But it's important to understand what I'm trying to say. So in all these hundreds of years, when the Western world was exploring new continents, was discovering and exploring invading, capturing new continents, new lands. At that time, the Indian society, India, was exploring and discovering continents of the soul, of the mind. We were always an inward researching society. We still are. If you talk to anybody, कोई भी problem हो, anything in any situation, you talk to a pan wala, rickshaw wala, your grandfather, a philosopher, a sadhu or guru, almost in all the cases you'll find he will give you an advice which talks about inwards. So we have always been a very different society. We have too many languages, we have too many cultures, too many rituals. Despite that, we are connected with something which is not just patriotism, but somewhere we are ultimately connected with the understanding, our understanding of the world, of this universe, how we look at it. And there's no competition that Western thinking is better or our thinking is better. There's no competition like that. We have our own unique model which works for us, and therefore it has sustained for so long. When I was a graduate in School of Social Sciences in Bhopal, our eminent scholar of economics, great Dr. Minocha, and he always, for those 2 years, 3 years, he kept telling us that the joint family system is going to end now in next few years, and the nuclear families will come, and India is going to change, it's going to be a different India. We thought he was progressive. We thought he was visionary. We thought he was talking about a very modern idea, and he's willing to accept the change. But in our last 20 years, barring some big cities like Bombay, Delhi, and Bangalore, if you look at the real India, you still have a very close-knit societies and very strong joint family system still exists. It's not out. Because somewhere we have learned through experience that family, at the core, if you look at the core, ask anybody, people from villages go to town to earn for their family. This young educated boy from IIM or whatever, when he goes from here to US or UK, he is ultimately going with the dream that he'll earn money and he'll make his family prosperous. In West, they don't think like that. Neither parents like that, nor children like that. So we have taken family as the core unit. And this is where cinema comes in, because cinema caters to that unit. I'm talking about mass media movies. I'm not talking about niche films which are seen by people of certain taste. I'm talking about cinema which is consumed by a family. And look at a typical Indian family, grandparents or elder Tauji or Taiji, some elder members, a couple, एक दो बेटे, दो बहुए, बेटी, घर में रहने वाले, काम करने वाले नौकर. Everything becomes a family, and the film is consumed normally in that environment. I'm explaining this to you because everybody, when I was young, in fact just few years ago, until few years ago, even I used to think, ye kya bakwas hai, why do we make these kind of movies? Now movies are commercial medium, it's a commerce. So therefore you will find that in all the movies, even if you include Sholay, which is such a action, actually if you look at it, it's a Western film. You've seen Sholay? All of you have seen Sholay? Most of you must have seen Sholay, yeah. So I'm saying on one hand a thriller action film, which is about a daku, a dacoit. It's a revenge drama. But what is at the core? A family. There's a Thakur, his family is being killed, he has a widow, daughter-in-law at home. There are two friends. Look at their friendship. Again comes down to relationship. And if you look at the most modern films, which are liked by everybody. Three Idiots. I'm sure all of you have seen that film. Ultimately, the film works only when everything comes back to family. That boy could have invested, that boy simply could have said, okay, Dad, I want to be a photographer, I am leaving. But he goes home. He needs sanction from his father. So the fundamental principle in Indian cinema is never disturb a family. And it's better to go with the family unless you are making a niche film, you are making a horror film, or you are making any film of that kind. And this has been true since I know cinema in India. If you want to understand, it's very easy. A lot of people say, in film industry, a lot of people say, no, that films can't change the world. Films can't change societies. To an extent, I understand. Nobody can change anybody. We change ourselves. But cinema can work as a catalyst. It can be a change agent. And it has been. It's not that it has not been. But in most of the cases, cinema has always been a reflection of the society. So when an art becomes a mirror to the society, then it works as a change agent. If you look at, you analyze, there is a very interesting theory. If you want to understand history of independent India, just analyze the villains of Indian cinema. If you look at the villains of 50s, post-independence, you'll find that they were all zamindars. There is a zamindar, उसका बेटा होगा घोड़े पे बैठ के जाएगा and he'll rape women of the village. And he'll always go and for the tax वो गरीब किसान को मारेगा. अब मेरे ख्याल से काफी हमने फिल्मों में देखा. I don't know if you have seen films of that time. Because in 50s, we suddenly got independence. And zamindari system still existed. And they were the exploiters. So they became villain in various forms. And after that, we moved towards industrialization. And you'll find in all those movies of Amitabh Bachchan era, you'll find industrialist is always the villain. He's always the bad guy. It's always the industrialist who is anti-poor. And then in the 80s, during Mrs. Gandhi's post-emergency, I would say, and during Mrs. Gandhi's regime and Rajiv Gandhi's and all. And that time you find suddenly the politician became the villain. In fact, there was a movie where Amitabh Bachchan goes and he shoots all the MLAs, Aaj Ka MLA. Anil Kapoor's film came, Nayak and all that. And because politicians were so corrupt, you cannot imagine. Most of you must have been children, young kids. But I have seen, you cannot imagine to what extent politicians were corrupt. Young boys and girls in colleges, all they used to say, अरे हम तो उस नेता के साथ हैं, भैया जी के साथ हैं, इसके साथ हैं. And they could get free things, free food in restaurants, free cigarette packets, free alcohol, free lots of things. किसी को रोक लिया कि मोटरसाइकिल दे दो अपनी. वो अभी भी in Bihar, parts of Bihar and UP, you can see that. I was in Allahabad University because of Buddha in a traffic jam, and that's exactly what was happening. चार लड़कियां ये उठो यहाँ से, ये हमारी जगह है. So politics became a very bad name. And then it shifted in 90s and all. Then you'll find that lots of the police, the cops suddenly became villains of this. Because police was very corrupt. Police was raping women, police, they were extorting people, there were close encounters, there were a whole lot of things happening in this country. As far as law and order was concerned, those years, if you remember, almost liberalization, the days of liberalization. And then suddenly things changed, Shah Rukh Khan came. And millennium, we entered the new millennium. And who became the villain? Villain became the father of the girl. So after all this, we came back to family. And then you had Maine Pyar Kiya, Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, and all those kind of movies which were centered around family, family, love story, and family, love story, and family. And ultimately, family became the whole thing. And this reminds me of a film called Lagan. If you look at Lagan, what is at the core of Lagan? Why these people want to fight for tax? A young Amir Khan, why does he want to fight for taxation? For his family. And yet the village is a bigger commune. So this is one side of cinema. Our cinema, if somebody says, is not the reflection of the times, we don't know because we are seeing it like here. In 2016, we are seeing it here. The minute that goes past us and we can see it from the top and analyze it, then we realize, oh, it's right. So it has always been, one thing has always been consistently present in our films, and which is so unique to India, only unique to India, no other cinema in the world does that, which is in the end, a good relationship has to win. चाहे वो शोले में अमिताभ बच्चन और धर्मेंद्र हो, चाहे वो आनंद और नमक हराम में अमिताभ बच्चन और राजेश खन्ना हो, किसी भी लेवल पे relationship always has been at the core. Maybe because there was a generation of filmmakers, and if you look at the films, the kind of gore, the kind of perversion which works very well, it's a genre by itself, which works so very well, earns so much of money, invest, and those movies in India also work very well. If you look at a Conjuring, or if you look at these horror films and all those kind of thrillers with a lot of gore and all, when they come from Hollywood, they make a lot of money in India. But if you make the same kind of film with Indian actors and Indian milieu and Indian social perspective, that film doesn't work because we do not accept our characters doing the same thing which they do. And that becomes a very big challenge for filmmakers also. If your film has to work, if people have to look at films, then it has to reach from Assam to Kanyakumari to Maharashtra to up to Jammu. In Srinagar there are no theaters. So how do you make a film which caters to so many people? Right now we are a cohesive group. We are with the same interest, with the same objective. All of you are gathered here for a single purpose, so it's easy for me to talk to you. But imagine if you have come here to understand football, somebody else for humor, somebody for something else. If people have come with different agendas, then how is it possible for a speaker to talk to all of them in one go? Therefore, we evolved a very interesting formula. And we just took this formula from Parsi cinema, which is, if you want to say something serious, have a skit before that, have a song before that. So the kind of variety shows which you have in your Durga Puja and Ganpati and all, the same thing came into cinema. And that's why we can't get rid of this 5-song, 4-song, 6-song formula. Everybody says it should change. The same people, when they come and make movies, then they can't do without it. Earlier the reason was because you were catering to a lot of mass media, but now your multiplexes, your niche audiences, but still we are not being able to crack that. The reason is that films are marketed through television. If you can't run your song, then there is no advertising. So therefore they have to promote songs. Very often the films which do not have songs, you won't even know their names. Lots of movies. So that is one part. So what I was trying to say, cinema has always been a reflection of the society. It will remain a reflection of the society. Because if the society can't relate with the cinema, what is cinema going to do? Cinema can't. It has to talk to its audience, which is people like you and me. But unfortunately what has been happening, that somewhere, because we just got freedom and a new ideology of socialism was imposed upon us. Why I'm saying imposed? Because it came, because leader of that time, he and the kind of world politics the way it was important for India because we had a bipolar politics. We had to align with somebody and it made sense at that point of time, I don't know. whether it was good or not, but it makes sense to align with socialist ideology. And therefore we created at the same time stereotypes. And how cinema works in socio-economic transformation of a society, this is critical to understand, because until 90s, late 90s I would say, you will find that we created a hatred for rich people, for money and for industry, which is so critical for a country's, for a society's development, for transformation. We always said rich man is always bad. Do you remember any film where you have seen pre-90s where we showed a rich man is good? उसका लड़का होगा तो तेज गाड़ी चलाता होगा शराब पी के, his daughter definitely beer पीती होगी parties में, या घोड़ा चलाती होगी या fast car चलाती होगी. They were always irresponsible people. Always, you can't name a film. I'm not talking about some very niche film here and there, but I'm talking all mass films. You will never ever find that. Success was never celebrated. Nobody was willing to believe that somebody can be rich. Even now it's very difficult to believe that somebody can be so rich and so rich in a poor country like ours. But still, now we have in millions and millions you have examples of self-made, rich, successful people. And that is one very important, critical thing I think cinema has not been able to address. A lot of people talk about left thinking and right thinking. I'm telling you from the bottom of my heart, I still do not know what is left and what is right. Because this world, whatever, the laptops you use, the cars you use, the technology you use, the satellites which have gone, anything where, and I'm not talking about Procter & Gamble, I'm talking about inventions, innovations, human excellence, where we have conquered nature. All those things have been done by people who wanted to bring about a change. If you think a computer was created only because somebody wanted to make money, I have a lot of experience in life and I have reasons to believe this is not true, because I have met lots and lots of people who are doing work at such smaller levels. We know this, but I'm sure somewhere in a village, somewhere somebody has found some jugaad, some tariqa, some way, to get electricity where there is no electricity. In villages where there is no electricity, people do lots of kinds of things. Koi cycle se chalata hai, koi kuch karta hai, and we are a jugaad country, and that's what they call innovation. There was one film, Swadesh, if you remember. Okay? That was a good film. It talked about a good concept. A guy comes back from an NRI guy and he wants to bring about a change, But they had to simplify it so much. Because Shah Rukh Khan, it became a big film, they had to recover money. They simplified it so much that even people who do it, these kind of things in villages, they anyway rejected. They said, it's too simple for us. You just can't come and do it like that. We have given all our lives to do it. You can't come from America and do it. Ashu was telling me, the director of the film, he said when he spoke to people, what were their complaints? The single screen guy. They did not believe it. Because they actually do it. And the city guys, the urban guys, they are more educated, tech-savvy people. They thought, oh, come on, don't kid with us, it's too simple. Because people think the problem is collectively, individually we know, but collectively we feel invention means something very big. We think you have to be Edison, you have to be Newton, you have to be Einstein. You have to be Madame Curie, but that's not true. Absolutely not true. And therefore you will find our heroes are generally speaking not very intelligent people. They are good people, they are moralistic people. If they are not, they become moralistic people. But very rarely they are smart people, intelligent people who solve problems, who do something for the society. And if you look at the West, you will find so many films which talk about this native intelligence. And I'm talking about a very serious issue here. And I don't think very few people maybe, and nobody has looked at it very carefully. That we created a certain kind of mindset. And if you think films don't have any impact on the society, so just look at the pictures of 80s, you'll find almost everybody in a group photo in that have Amitabh Bachchan's hair. Influences your habits. It gives you a worldview. Unfortunately, in the last 20-25 years, we have lost that worldview. In fact, there is a saying, they say if you really want to, when you go and travel outside, if you want to go to Italy, say for example, so if you want to understand, so don't pick up Lonely Planet, just pick up 5 most popular films of that country, and you'll get to know about their architecture, you'll get to know about their family system, you'll get to know about their traffic, you'll get to know about their food, you'll get to know about the culture and their general socio-political problems as a backdrop, which is true in almost every country. You get to learn something about that country. Their politics you'll understand. But if somebody has to pick up 5 Indian films, if somebody is visiting India, and if he picks up 5 films of ours, he'll get to learn about London, New York, Australia, all those places we shoot our films, will never get to know about real India. That's why people who grow up on Bollywood, I'm a director, lots and lots of young girls and boys from US and UK, NRI, Indian NRIs, but they come for the first time thinking that yes, they will come here and somebody will say, hey, we are looking for a heroine opposite Shah Rukh Khan or Salman Khan, you are the one. So that is the dream they have in their eyes. Because they have seen Bollywood, they have seen Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gham. On one end. On the other end, they have seen that India is such a bad country that in Kashmir, army is killing and raping people. I'm using the word in the right context, I believe. Otherwise, there's so much controversy these days. But that's not the truth. That can be a truth at some point of time, but that is not the real truth. So, on one hand, we always show a society which is suffering, there's oppression, and the reason behind that oppression is politician, is the cop. It's never the poor man. Never. We have created a narrative. We have made a bad man out of all the politicians. This is the reason. I don't know if there is a direct correlation or not, but I would want to believe that yes, if cinema reflects the society or vice versa, then there is certain kind of correlation that we always pass on the buck onto something where normal people can't reach, either the government or the God. पुल गिर गया, भगवान की यही इच्छा थी. वो 70 लोग जो मर गए भगवान की इच्छा से नहीं मरे थे. So either we pass on the buck here or there somewhere, but we just want to always look clean. And that kind of moralistic hypocrisy somewhere in our country came into mainstream narration, mainstream cinema, mainstream media, mainstream politics, mainstream everywhere. And this I am saying from my own experience because when we made this film Buddha in a Traffic Jam, I had no clue. It was made with students of Indian School of Business in Hyderabad. It was their pet project. They wanted to make a 10-minute documentary. So I told them, how will you get money? They said, we'll contribute. We'll contribute 20,000 rupees each and all. And ISB students are generally rich people. So I said, you are future CEOs of the world, why don't you go and raise money? And they raised funds within no time. And that's how this film came into being. We did some research. They had done a lot of research and they found, generally in statistics that 40% of India is Naxal infested and how many lives have gone and etc., etc. There are so many things. And when we researched, we thought it's a very interesting subject to make a film on because nobody had ever made a film on this subject. It's not that I was into politics. As a filmmaker, it excited me. And I related, I said, this is so true. And it was a simple idea. It's such a simple idea because there was a professor in ISB and it's taught in lots of places, I'm sure. I'm not a Pandit of economics, but whatever I know. And it's a theory that for developing economies, corruption sometimes is really good. It keeps the system going, it keeps the system moving. Because in a developing society, if you take the corruption out absolutely, maybe chances are that the motor may stop. So first you have to get the motor fixed, then only you can think about the corruption. And such a vicious cycle, it never happens. And the same professor at the same time also used to teach in CSR, this film was started from CSR, that if CSR doesn't make profits, then it's got no meaning. Eventually it should be quantifiable. Now tell me, this is in such a contrast with the normal citizen who thinks it's corporate social responsibility, they think it's charity. But the company is doing with the intention that it will help them branding and therefore will get them more recalls and therefore more purchases and will strengthen their stock market. That is the intention. So in a way, they are benefiting. So in cost benefit, they are in the plus. But this guy thinks that हम उनको दे रहे हैं, they are doing something towards the society. और उसी illusion में both are happy. And this is where the whole issue of Naxalism came. That what is the design? I believe कोई भी दुनिया का problem, it can be converted into a simple design. And if you look at the simple design, you read all the books, whatever is available material, you go visit yourself, read whatever, talk to people, and you will find, yes, there must be some good things about it. But right now, the 70 जब हमने फिल्म बनाई थी तब 70 या कितने CRPF के वो बस उड़ा दी थी पूरी वहाँ पे. उसके अलावा lot of people were complaining and there were lots of cases of police CRPF members were getting killed and there were a lot of issue. And that's exactly when I realized that when we were studying, our professors made us half Naxals. Somewhere when I graduated, when I post-graduated, मैंने कई जगह बहुत speeches में भी बोली है ये बात, I have said in all the interviews also, that we were burning government buses. We were throwing stones on Vidhan Sabha and we were feeling as if we are Bhagat Singhs and we are revolutionaries. We thought that we are going to bring about that revolution. We'll move up in hierarchy and we'll find India the place under the sun which it deserves. But very soon in life, when I went and traveled and I lived outside India also, and I realized that there was a certain utopia which had been created. Utopia which was created, and I realized that ultimately it's all about finding new ideas, innovating, creating more wealth for the country, more capital for the country, so that people get educated, people get good health. You can't have a bunch of people come and dictate terms and then not let the entire 40% geographical area grow and get into development. We said it's a serious issue, we should find what is the solution. Somewhere we found that this political solution actually has a business solution. These Adivasis didn't have television. And the reason is because a lot of people, I'm not saying that everybody is wrong, but a lot of people in Naxal area, a lot of Naxal people do not let them buy television. The reason is they get television, they get a different worldview and they get greedy. Then they want to buy things. And that will change the narrative, that will change the aspirations. So we realized that everybody is fighting for that narrative, the mainstream narrative, and this is something nobody has told, because whenever we made movies, I'm talking specifically about movies, a terrorist, Daku se shuru karte hain, Daku, in all the films you'll find, had a very moralistic reason to become a Daku. या तो उसकी बहन का रेप हो गया, या उसके पिताजी पे अत्याचार हुए, or something like that, जहां पे उसको, so he goes for personal justice. और हमने उस तरह से उसको एक्सेप्ट करवा लिया अपनी सोसाइटी में. टेररिस्ट के साथ भी यही हुआ. If you look at all the films, चाहे मिशन कश्मीर हो, whichever film has ever dealt with the subject of terrorism in Kashmir, they have always shown a terrorist as somebody who's oppressed, which is not true. Which is not true. The Kasab who came to India and he blew Taj Hotel wasn't an oppressed child. He was 16, 17, and 19-year-old boy who was given, he said, कि तुम्हें पैसा देंगे, जाओ करो, and he did that. But we gave very emotional, family-based, कि माँ की रक्षा के लिए, इसके लिए we created the kind, we started justifying acts. Have you ever seen any Hollywood film? एक आध होंगी तो होंगी जहां पर टेररिस्ट को कोई ये कहता हो कि he has a reason, he has a bloody personal reason and therefore he can pick up the gun and kill people. आदमी दिल का अच्छा था. तो हमारे जो एक hypocrisy create की गई, you can kill people, you can hit women and still people will say अरे आदमी दिल का बड़ा अच्छा था. And that's how we justify this. Vague concepts. And same thing was happening with all the Naxal films which were made on Naxal issue. I have no problems in celebrating if there is one guy who has done good things for the tribals. I have absolutely no problems. But I said it's very important to also figure out that how smartly, how cleverly they have created a web, a nexus. And it's not limited, if we think it's limited only to the forests of the tribal areas of India, it's not absolutely true, because today you can find them in academia and media, and my experience started with my own industry. I was making a simple film where there is a professor who has the power to influence a child, a student. Now if a professor believes, like my professor believed, that only when we burn government property, when we damage government property, because government is our enemy, state is our enemy. Me, not alone me, but lots of students like me, we were a bunch of 20-25 students, and we said, okay, चलो विधान सभा में पत्थर मारते हैं, ये सरकारी बस को तोड़ते हैं, इसको आग लगाते हैं. Because we respected that professor so much. He was such a well-studied man. He was always talking about humanity. He was talking about equality. He was talking about idea of India, vision of India. We never ever questioned his integrity, but we were not given the opportunity to question that hypothesis. That fighting the state with arms, is that the only way, or there can be another solution to it? Because we were always morally, if you say, नहीं वो terrorist, अरे साहब आप क्या बात करते हैं, आपको पता है उन पे कितने अत्याचार हुए हैं. And we make a very, very technical thing into very emotional. And so when we made this film, so we thought we are just talking, we are showing another side of the story, and in a very smart way. In fact, in my mind there was a thriller. All the times I thought a very thriller, drama-oriented thriller I was making in our top institute of India, in a business school, where they teach you only profits. And that's where a professor and a student get involved in the Naxal issue. What a contrast. So for me it was very exciting, and I decided to make the film with very limited budgets, hardly any monies. We shot in the campus. But it's only when the film got ready and I started showing in my own industry, then I realized it's going to be a long battle. I did not realize that there is no place for alternate narrative in this country. At least until social media, I would say. Until the advent of social media. And that too in last 2 years, I think post-election. Social media pre-election was full of sarcasm, humor, jokes and all that. And I think post-2015, it's only political and outrage and all that. So I don't want to get into details, but when there was nobody who was willing to distribute the film, nobody was willing to pick up the film, people were discouraging. There were festivals where it reached there, tomorrow, it's like I reach here and I realize that you're not showing the film and my program is cancelled. And you don't inform me. Because लोग कहते हैं ना कि अच्छा अपनी फिल्म आप फेस्टिवल में भेज दीजिए, ओपनिंग फिल्म होगी होगा, you say okay, but you send the DVD last minute, and when they see the film, they say, shit, what have we got, man? So, and this resistance did not come only from there. When it was going nowhere, we said, okay, why not show it in universities and institutes of India, where at least they teach cinema, where they teach humanity, where they teach subjects like this, where actually Naxalism matters. We wrote to JNU, they did not allow, then whatever happened, we ultimately showed it. There was a lot of resistance in Jadavpur University, there was resistance in IIT Madras, one of the delegates, I think, from there. So lots of places. Would you believe it, when the film, we had a very small release, 160 cinema halls. Normally a film releases in 1600 to 2000 cinema halls minimum, and when big star films come, they release in 5,000 to 6,000 cinema halls. We released 160, so that it becomes a technical release. We had no money, it costs money to release. So technically it becomes released, and then we can release it on digital. And the good news is that we are getting a very huge price for digital, because it's become a very high on digital demand. And now it's getting premiered every week in iTunes, YouTube, and very soon in Netflix and all. But in media, recently there was a controversy about Udta Punjab. Everybody came together. You must have heard the entire industry came together. Who came together? If you look at the press conference, you'll find the same people who come for any conference, who have been coming for so many years. There's a certain narrative they belong to, and they support those kind of narratives. You make an anti-state film, you'll find thousands of sponsors. You transfer the responsibility to the citizen and say, hey, you are also responsible. Hey, Mr. Terrorist, you are responsible for killing. Hey, Mr. Naxalite, you are responsible for blowing up that CRPF bus. You'll find no sponsors. Because in the disguise of working for the common man, I'm sorry, I'm a blunt man, but we run such a profitable shop. In that hypocrisy, we want the society to live. Where the society is made to believe कि तुम्हारे सारे पापों, तुम्हारे सारे जितने दुख हैं, जो तुम्हारी तकलीफें हैं, उसके लिए भगवान जिम्मेदार है, और दूसरी तरफ सरकार जिम्मेदार है. Therefore, anti-state films, you will never have problem. You say, दुनिया के सब प्रॉब्लम के लिए ये कमिश्नर और पुलिस जिम्मेदार है, people will believe it. And you have sponsors for that thought. Anti-India thought, no problems. But the minute you say our nexus have created a nexus with the academia and the intellectuals of the society, with the intelligentsia, I did not know that I was walking onto a very radical path. I had absolutely no idea. And I'm telling you honestly, I did not know what I was getting into. It's only after JNU, when I was invited to another IIT somewhere or another university, after 2-3 places when I went, suddenly I realized, oh my God, I'm part of a political narrative now. Everybody started attacking me. Not everybody, I mean there were a lot of takers for this film also. But unfortunately the takers of this film, if you have to, time ho gaya, so I'm sorry, मेरे को बोल देते हैं आप. Just I'll sum it up. If you look at this thing, all those films which have sympathy with terrorists and Naxalites have a very urban, suave, the so-called, not really, but English-speaking kind of support. And the minute this film I realized, I never thought this film will be called to Allahabad and Banaras. I thought 80% of the film is in English. And wherever it's not in English is with the attitude of, because it's shot in a business school, with that attitude. So it will find takers in multiplexes and those kind of places. But actually this film found takers in small town, middle class, Hindi speaking, typical Indian man. So which means there was a hidden voice, which was, nobody was voicing it out. And this film started debate very rarely. It's my film. I'm proud to say that even till today and for next 6 months I am blocked, this film is in discussion. Very rarely it happens with a film. It out from the theaters, I took it to the people where it belongs, to the students and the youth.